Thanks for checking out our channel here. This is going to be kind of a overview of this unit. This is on a Cyclops Brute. It's a 110, 120 volt version fence charger. They do make a 12 volt version of this. It's a pretty stout unit. It's 10 stored joules, 8 output joules. So pretty good middle of the road charger. This would probably do, I would say, between 200 and 300 acres of normal fence, with multiple strands of wire. It'd do a pretty good size area. It packs a hell of a punch. I mean, people sometimes go overkill and buy, a 30 joule unit when they could probably get by with an 8 or 12 joule unit just fine. So, these things sell for about $325 to $365, somewhere in that range. We don't sell them. We're just a repair place. So here's a little bit about us as we get into this thing, so that way you know who we are. We are Fencer Fixer is the website. We are a repair place. We work on all brands and ages of electric fence units. We also work in cattle scales and EID readers, mostly on Gallagher's, because that's about the only brand that we have access to parts for without paying an arm and a leg for parts. So there's our information right there. You can send something to us at our address and phone number and everything. Anyways, so that's what we do. We are a repair place by trade. That's all we do is work on stuff. So, all right. So this unit was one that we got in for repair. We just fixed it a little bit ago. I'll probably, if I think about it, I'll put a link in the description where you can go down there and click on the link, go to the video, and watch it. What I like about this unit, it's made in the USA, so it's got good parts on the inside. It has, I would say it's made in the USA with global parts. So I'm sure a lot of electronic component stuff comes from China, Japan, Taiwan. A lot of electronics components have come from over there, but the transformers inside here are built in the States. Taylor Fence down in Alabama does not make their transformers, but they do have a place in the States make the transformers in-house or for them that they install into their units. But everything else inside there is basically made in the States. Maybe the capacitors. The capacitors are made in China as well, but they use good capacitors. Even though they're made in China capacitors, they're using the same brand that Gallagher and Speedrite and Power Wizard all use, just a different variation of the same brand. So we'll open up this unit and you can see the inside. So what I like about this particular model, it's not too big, not too small. It's right in the middle of the road, power-wise. This unit also has 2 fuses on it. It has a fuse over here on the left-hand side by your power cord. This is for your AC power cord side of the fuse. And it has a fuse on the right-hand side, which this is a fuse that we replaced because theirs was messed up and wouldn't hold, so we put a different one in there. That's one thing I don't like about Cyclops' units. Their fuse mounts are a little weak. They get messed with too many times. They're junk. You got to get rid of them. These ones, unless lightning blows them out, I rarely have to replace one. These are also, their fuse mounts are a push and turn. You push it and turn the cap and it comes right off, which is nice, real quick. But these ones that we use is a threaded cap. So you got to turn it a few turns. I just think it holds better, it lasts longer, costs a little bit more, but not much compared to what theirs costs. So it is a little bit bigger around. So I got to make the hole bigger to get that sleeve to slide in there. They use on these newer versions. This is a 2017 model. On the newer ones, I don't probably see on 15, 16. They came out with some newer terminal bolts style. They're bigger. They got their split bolt, so you can put the wires right in there and tighten them down. Just hand tighten. Don't freaking take a pair of pliers and just crank down on the dumb thing. Just hand tighten. That's all you got to do, because you don't want to strip out the bolts or strip out the knob. So just hand tighten and make it snug. Don't over tighten like you're a gorilla or something. Just hand tighten. What I like, this has an actual working light that means something. Some brands have lights that flash that don't mean anything. Like this one, if the light's flashing, that means everything should be good. It takes about between 3,000 and 3,500, 4,000 volts or so to make that light flash. If for some reason you go out there and the unit's clicking but the light's not flashing, the first thing you'll want to do is check this fuse right here. This is for your fence and ground. It ties together over here and runs everything over here. So if this fuse is blown, here, we'll take the fuse out. I'll show you. Turn it back on. See, it's clicking, but the light's not flashing. So the first thing you'll want to do is check your fuse. These do come with, I think, 2 spare fuses, 2 for the right, 2 for the left. So if you're like, well, the fuse looks good, I guess it's okay, you could always take a multimeter and test it, because sometimes a little filament inside there will look good, but sometimes it breaks off inside the little silver part. So you test the fuse, beeps at you, you know you're good, you know the continuity's good. Or just pop that fuse out, grab another spare fuse, slap it back in there. And this particular one's a 2 amp fuse, and one on the left hand side's a 1/2 amp fuse. So if you replace the fuse, it still doesn't come on, then you've got issues inside, or the fuse mount's bad or something. So that's a quick thing to do. If you check the fuse, it's good. You put it back in there, it comes on, or it won't come on, but still clicks. Unhook your fence and ground from it. Undo your knobs, pull your wires off, plug it back in. Light goes back to flashing. Possibly you've got a bad short in the fence dragging it down, or you've got a bad transformer that's got an internal short in the thing that tied to ground somewhere, shorting the whole thing down. That's kind of nice. You can troubleshoot them pretty quick if it's a unit itself, fuse problem, or the fence and ground problem. So real quick, we'll go ahead and we'll pull this apart, show you the inside. Another thing I like about it, everything's modulated, everything's separated from one another. So if you know how to troubleshoot, you can narrow down what area is your problem. But you got to know how to troubleshoot, and you got to know how these things work to know where to start with and how to accurately narrow down where your problem's at. So we'll take this cover off. Now these units, the downside, the other thing I don't like about them, if you have them in a hot building, or if you have them in a somewhere where sun's going to get directly hitting it, these over time will fade. It might take 5-10 years, but the unit, instead of going to be nice and red, it'll be pink, faded. And over time, these cases, they don't use the best plastic, and over time the cases will get brittle and crack. And they're also not very watertight. There's no seals on them, but most AC units don't have any seals on them, so it's not just their brand. But if they start cracking, or if you got somewhere where wind's blowing around, rain can get to it, it's going to work its way past the case and get inside here and ruin stuff. And I've seen plenty of, oh no, I don't think it ever got wet, and you open it up and the screws are rusted, the back side of these little things here are rusted. Well, rust doesn't just happen with metal. Something's got to get to it to cause it. So, but here's the inside. You got your surge board for your power surge protection for your AC side. There's also your fuse mount. The inside of it's right up here. You got your main power board, your 2 capacitors for it, your big transformer, and your output protection boards over here. And then underneath there, of course, is your other fuse mount that loops up, ties up here. But yeah, these are really good transformers. They do go bad from time to time. They're not bulletproof, but they are pretty reliable. They're pretty heavy transformers, but I would say probably 60-70% of the weight of the unit, maybe more, is the weight of the transformers. They use pretty beefy transformers. Old school electronics, nothing digital, no surface mount stuff on there. Pretty nice setup on the inside. Yeah, I mean, some people will buy a Cyclops unit and they'll go online, shop around, and like, oh, I'm going to get this big 32 joule boss model. But the good units are just basically like this, but bigger transformer, more capacitors, a different board. I think even this board over here is different on the bigger units. But, this unit's made for probably 200 to 300 acres of normal fence and grass here and there and multiple strands. So some people will have like 200-300 acres. They'll put a big like 20 joule unit on there, and when they could have got by just fine with this. So sometimes, on some brands and models, the bigger you go, typically, bigger's better. Not every time, because sometimes you can have too much fence charger and not enough fence to absorb all that energy it's trying to get rid of. And so if you're paying for 20 joules, it might only be able to get rid of 11 or something like that, and the extra 9 joules gets stuck inside the unit and dissipated as heat, either inside the transformer or capacitor or the board or just temperature inside in general. So then the transformer, if it's getting too hot, it won't happen right away. You got to give them a few months or a couple of years, but eventually something's gonna give and it's gonna be then you have to send it off to get it fixed because the transformer went bad or board overheated, something like that. So don't always go the biggest. Don't always, because you got money burn a hole in your pocket, go to the biggest one you can afford to buy. Get what you need and maybe go look at the specs on things and say, well, this one says it's for 200 acres, but I got 180. Maybe go the next size bigger and just have a little room. You can go a little bigger, but you don't want to go way bigger. Never get the full energy that you're paying for. So that's my 2 cents on that. But they're a good unit. I like them. They're not a bad product by any means. They're I don't like the things I don't like, or their fuse mounts are pretty cheapy. Plastic over time is pretty weak. They got these ones won't have too many of the issues, but I see issues with their boards on occasion. Usually it's on like the master, sometimes it's super, but most of the time it's on the master or the boss models. They got a lot more stuff on the main boards, and those will have problems just on their own, and that could be from people not having enough fence hooked up to it, and it's getting things hot inside, and they're not being able to get rid of all that charge in there. So that could be not the unit itself having a problem, but maybe the person bought too big of a charger. You would think that would be not a problem, but it happens all the time. People buy a little bit too big and it comes in like, well, I just bought this thing 4 years ago. And you open it like, well, it's gotten pretty hot in there. I can see something's happening. You ask them, well, did you get a power surge, a lighting? Well, I haven't had rain in 3 months or whatever, and like, well, something's gotten hot from something. It's usually because they got too big of a charger, not enough fence, and it can't get rid of all of its energy. So bigger is not always better with these fence chargers. So, but we'll put it back together here in a minute. But I just want to show you the inside and show you, what my thoughts were on it. Good chargers. They make this is a Brute. They do make the Champ, which is a 5 output, like 6.3 stored, so it packs a pretty good punch still. And then they've got the Stallion, which is the second to the smallest, and they make the Hero, which is the smallest, which is like a 1.5 to 2 joule, something like that. But we'll plug it back in here. We'll test the output, show you the voltage. So we'll plug it in here. Putting out 10,000 volts or better, and then we'll put a little a little wire across to touch the ground and get real close to the fence. Yeah, the video doesn't do it justice. You gotta hear it and see it to believe it. Alright, well, that's it for this video. We're going to zip it all back together and call it done. And then, just shop around online. You'll look at your local stores. Not every store sells these things, but they're sold. Little stores throughout the United States carry the brand. And then, of course, they're sold online. I think CyclopsFence.com is a website that carries them. I'll put a link down in the description. You can go on there and look around. But anyways, this is our 2 cents on stuff. Take it as you will. But I think they're a good, decent product for the money. They are a bit cheaper, but they only carry a 1-year warranty versus some other brands that carry a 2-year and 3-year warranty that costs about the same, a little more. So it's kind of a toss-up, between what you want to do, what you want to spend, and what you want to get for warranty, because sometimes that warranty ends up paying for itself if the thing gets hit by lightning in 2 or 3 years. Alright, well, until next time, we'll see you guys later, and hopefully you enjoyed this video.